Welcome to Monte's Gems episode. I think it's 20 now, and we have a special guest. This is my friend Payton here, and we're excited to have him for this episode. He worked at the rat farm with me a little bit. We went to school together, so should definitely be a good conversation for sure, at least. And I'm sure Chad's
Gonna
got a bunch
be
of questions.
quite the ride for me because it's somebody who I don't know, never really met. So it's gonna be just like me going to a restaurant and being like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" Sit
Yeah.
up right wheelchair right up next to somebody and get to shoot from the hip with all my questions.
Yeah.
One thing that is interesting leading into this podcast is I know most of Jake's friends, and so Jake was describing Peyton, and it's like one of those things when you come home and you hear a sibling or a parent or a partner talking about this person that they know at work, and so you always like create these visions inside of your head of like what they're gonna look like and who they're gonna be. And I actually thought that he would probably have blonde hair. I didn't think he would have a beard. I thought he'd have more clean cut, like be dressed like me. And so when I turned on today looking and I'm like, wow, it's like Jake and him are in this exact same room. They got the exact same setup. There's like Pokemon in the back, Pokemon cards. And so it's just interesting what our minds create based on someone sharing who someone is. And because we have to create some type of vision in our minds to be able to identify with the person, right? And to be able to
Yeah.
create something stable to where it's like, oh, okay, like now I know this person to be able to create that relationship previous to actually meeting them. So I think
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
It's kind of like all those YouTubers that make a bunch of videos but never show their face, and then after like 100 videos or whatever, they show their face, and you're like, that is not what I expected them to look like at all.
It throws
And
you
then,
off.
yeah.
I didn't know that was even a thing.
Oh, yeah. That's a bunch of YouTubers that do stuff like that, and then everybody makes a big deal about it. But yeah, a little behind the scenes. I asked Chad if he had any questions for Peyton, and he said no, not really. And then I was getting set up, getting all the cameras in shot and whatnot, and setting up the display. And Chad's over there asking question after question after question. He's like, no, I don't have any questions, but.
Well, so let's go into detail. I said, no, Jake, I don't have any questions. Should I? And you're like, well, I don't know. I was like, well, why? You asked me the question, do I have any questions? It's like, what am I supposed to do? So I was just like, all right, I guess maybe I should ask questions. So in order to feel like not anxious and like scared that you were going to be pissed off at me or something, I started asking questions.
Oh, come on. So I thought for this episode, the meat and potatoes of this episode would be, I don't know, I feel like the rat farm is definitely there's so many stories and talking points that we could just go on forever about. And it's like, I guess the first thing I want to bring up about the rat farm is just like that initial just the interview process, and then immediate, all right, so you want to start working here? It's like, okay, what? Like, there's an interview, which is basically not an interview. It's basically like a tour around the rat farm. And at the end of it, if you have any questions, ask them and whatnot. But basically at the end, he's like, all right, so you want the job? And if you say yes, you can basically start working right there. It's there's no waiting process at all.
So why don't you go into a little bit of detail and explain, like, when you guys say rat farm, like what it was, what was the business setup, how they made their money, because it was more than just rats. So go through the day-to-day, like, I guess, labor and what everybody was expected to do, how big the team was. Like, paint us a picture of that.
Okay. So basically it was, I don't know, 9 or 10 guys maybe. Yeah. And there was 2 different barns. It was just like these big pole barns. And inside these barns, there was a bunch of these, I guess they called them racks. I guess I don't have any better way to describe them. It was just like,
there's no other way.
It was just like a place to hold the cages, and they had a little water spigot right where, that's where you'd sit the cages on, and that's how they would stay on the racks. And there was, I don't know, I think I counted them one time. It was like 16 in each row. Well, that's 16 per half per row. So there's 32 cages per row, and there's
Yeah, because they were like what 6, 7 high,
yeah, maybe 8.
like.
So it's like 32 times 8, which is like what, 240, 270 or something like that.
Then
200.
there's like 2, 3 rats per bin.
Oh yeah. And that's if they don't have babies. If they
Yeah,
have babies, there's like
2 to
20.
like 12.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
They
a
could have
week.
like 10, 12, 20 babies in them.
Yeah.
So there's almost 300 cages per rack. There's, oh, I don't know, what, like 20, 30 of these racks? Oh,
I
sorry.
asked him. I asked him one day. He told me anywhere from 30 to 60,000 animals at a time.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, so one of the barns was rats and one of the barns was mice. So, I mean, yeah, there was. But I guess so far for the day today is just they're all in these little cages. Basically, your main goal is to keep these rats alive. It's like the analogy while working there. I heard multiple times. One of the guys that worked there, his name was Quinn. He was a character to say the least, but he equated it to growing potatoes, to where potatoes will pretty much grow themselves if you just give them the bare minimum requirements. So that's kind of the idea. Basically, we just changed their cages for like the bedding, made sure they were getting water, gave them a little bit of food. Sometimes didn't even do that,
Yeah.
and just put them on their way basically, and just do
What do you
that.
mean, like you didn't do that? Like you guys ran out of food, or you guys would forget, or
I
what?
mean, it wasn't. You didn't have to clean every cage, and whoever was pulling them off the rack,
It was really up to them.
yeah, basically,
They're the only ones deciding it.
yeah, you could just skip 2 racks and nobody would say anything. Nobody would like notice. Like your whole day, everybody has to do 6 racks of these cages, and if somebody's just decides I don't want to do that today, they could just skip them. Yeah.
Nobody's like, owl, like there's
Wait,
no
what?
policing it at all.
I mean, barely. It's
I
bare
mean, there's
minimum.
no one there. It's other than the workers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and then so like, what was the point of the business though? What was the business model? Who did they sell them to? Like the rats were alive when they would leave your facility, or what?
Most of them were alive. Sometimes all of the extras that were either going to die, or if they had more than 10 babies, we would keep 10 babies and then we would just freeze the rest of them. So some of them would be sold frozen, some of them would be sold alive. I mean, he's selling them to
Petco, right?
pet stores. Yeah, I think Petco was the main one, but pet stores, pet shows like reptile shows like snakes and lizards and stuff like that, because they eat mice and rats and whatever. And yeah, basically he had a delivery driver every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. He would drive pretty much all day long making these deliveries, delivering these mice and rats and stuff. So
And was there a science between like the rats and lineage? Like, were they purebred rats, or like did you guys make it like it was the best rats, or were like the inbred, or how did that work?
I don't think there was ever really a science to a whole lot of anything. It was just
I think it was pretty bare minimum. Pretty
Yeah.
basic. Like,
Yeah.
So there was no process for how you guys would save the 2 parents for the next batch or anything like that. It was just like survival of the fittest.
You would keep the 2 rats in together. You would keep the mom and the dad rat in together until they basically stopped having kids.
Which was how long?
Sometimes it was 3 litters. Most of the time it was like the cutoff point was like, okay, if they have 7 litters, then pretty much stop them right then, because then you would pull the male out and leave the female in, and then she would have the last litter. And then after that last litter, then basically those rats would be sold. The mom and the dad would be sold separately. But I mean, sometimes the workers just didn't do that, and they had like 20 litters in there or something.
Okay, so when you say a litter, each litter would stay in there with the mom and the dad?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not like you would take a litter out, take a litter out. Well, like how quickly would they reproduce and have like a second litter?
They could have babies. So babies on week 1. On week 2, you would feed them. On week 3, they would be either you would pull the babies out, or you would put you would pull them in a couple days. But basically, they would be by week 3, they would be stable enough to basically survive on their own. And then by week 4, she could be having them again.
Huh. And did you guys do anything to like make sure the rats were sexually active?
No, I didn't. I'm sure there was a little bit of something going on there, but
No, I mean, okay, so there's like nothing that you do like for the mating process of dogs or animals. It was just kind of like let them go at it.
oh, they'll reproduce. You just put them near each other.
For them to
Yeah,
do.
it's literally like potatoes growing. You just put them there next to each other, and they'll grow.
And how big are the cages?
24/7.
I don't know, maybe like a gallon. Maybe the mice were probably like a half-gallon cage. The rats are probably like a gallon or 2. Probably 2 gallons.
Oh, wow.
For the rats.
So you're talking like this.
For the mice, yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, the
Well,
people that were...
I'm thinking of a 5-gallon bucket. A 5-gallon bucket's not very big.
No. I mean, they were pretty tight together.
Well, this is a gallon.
Okay. I would say it's probably a gallon and a half for a mice cage, and then maybe like 3 or 4 for a rat cage. I mean, yeah, they weren't very big.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, the types of characters that we were working with was it was really not a whole lot of work going on.
No.
And it was so the whole model of it was, okay, you have A, B, and C to do today. And once you're done with those, you leave. If you get done with A, B, and C at 9:00, you're leaving at 9:00. But so it was a lot of the time it was basically just goof off, and then at the end pretty much they just didn't do their work and skipped it a lot of the time. So yeah.
I noticed a lot of they and them. Like, you weren't included in that.
I would consider
goofing
myself I would consider myself the person that goes back through and fixes the previous week, because you rotate each section. And sure, I goofed off and whatnot a lot of the time, but I wouldn't consider myself I'm gonna skip this rack and, I have integrity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're speaking for both of you or just for yourself?
I'm speaking for myself. I don't know about for Payton, but Payton, do you have any I guess what's your first memory of the rat farm?
Well, okay, so it all started just because I got in an argument at my previous job. That's the only reason why I ever even went here. Got in an argument. I ended up quitting, and I think I texted Jake at like 6 in the morning, something like that. Like, yo, man, you guys hiring? And then it was like a week or 2 later, I think you gave him my number or something, and then I think a bit later he ended up texting me, gave me the address, and I drove out there, and it was a very nice property. You drive on there, get to the back, it's just 2 big barns. Get out, walk in, and he just like exactly like you said, he just gives you the tour, tells you about the place, tells you what you'll do, and then asks you if you want to work. I said yes, and I remember I saw you there that day too, and then he's like, you want to work here? And I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. I remember he's like, you want to start right now? I remember vividly.
Yeah. And then you said no. I'll start tomorrow or something.
Tomorrow. For sure. I'll go tomorrow.
Yeah.
I remember I missed like the second day.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, he called it on like the second day.
To be fair, dude, a tree was blocking my driveway.
Didn't he go and pick you up or something?
No, that was you were like gone that day. That was when you like gone around a vacation or something.
Oh. And he's like,
because I told him I was like, Jake would usually pick me up in situations like this.
yeah.
So I was like kind of just hoping to get it off.
So I think the boss drove like half an hour one way and then half an hour back just to go get him to come work.
Yeah. That was a different day. That was later on. Yeah, the second day was just because there was like awful storms.
Yeah, and there was a bunch of downed branches everywhere.
Trees and stuff.
And then he took you home?
No. Yeah. On the way there, he asked me, "You got to ride home?"
Yeah. Not really asking. He's like, "You're gonna find a ride home, right?"
Yeah. I'm telling you now. Like, it's early.
You're walking.
You got the rest of the day to find one.
Yeah.
And did he pay you like decent money there, or?
I wouldn't.
I mean,
I guess it was an hour.
I guess for.
What did you say?
Was it more than $20 an hour?
No. Not me, at least. I don't. Jake was making he was probably on the big bucks. Jake was making salary.
No, I was not. But I mean, yeah, it was because. Okay, so. I mean, after you get raises, like I think when I started there, he was giving me raises like once every 2 months or something.
Yeah.
It was like so. I think I started at like $16.50 or something, and so I started in July or something, and then I think by December I was already at like $22 an hour or something. So, you could get raises so easily just because of the type of people that worked there.
Yeah, we had different experiences for sure.
Yeah. Well,
was there a high turnover?
A high what?
Turnover.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like how many people were on your team?
So I think
how many people?
The maximum amount of people that were there at once was 9, I think.
And over the course the length of time you were there, how many different people do you think you worked with?
Probably like 20 or so.
Okay.
I don't know. I would say from 20 to 30.
Do you have any stories of people who like only made it one day or like a week?
I feel like there was a couple people that only made it. Okay, so there was this guy that worked there, and his name was Frank, and I think Josh and Isaac knew him from previous. I don't know how they knew him, but they knew him, and so Frank worked there quite a while, I would say, for the rat farm, and his best friend or his brother-in-law or something worked there for. I don't know. It couldn't have been more than a week. And one day, neither one of them had a car that worked. So when I tell you this story, picture like some Napoleon Dynamite. One of them being pulled on the bicycle, one of them rollerblading. It was that same scenario, except for one of them was on a dirt bike and one of them was on a bicycle. Or was it it was a bicycle. They had a rope. One of them was being pulled by a rope via the dirt bike, and the other one was on the bicycle. And yeah, I think one of Quinn, the guy I mentioned earlier, he dubbed him the nickname Dropkick, which is like some band or something. I don't remember what it was, but that guy lasted like a week, and definitely not any more than that. But it was just so many moments like that. Like you saw a fight happen at work, but like not like a oh, screw you, man. Punch him in the face, like sucker punch him. No. They on break, they went and got boxing gloves and had like a whole boxing match.
It was planned out for
Yeah.
2 weeks.
And the boss knew about it and everything and was cool with it. And it's like, this is happening at work. It's just like a bunch of stuff like that. Yeah.
The boss was fine with it happening.
Oh yeah. He's as long as it was on break and nobody got hurt enough to not come back to work, he was okay with it. He was okay with it.
How long were breaks?
Well, they were supposed to be half an hour, but dude, there were times where, no kidding, like there were breaks that probably lasted like an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Oh yeah, easily.
Like
For all of the people working there, or just for some of the people?
for most of the people.
Yeah, because everyone pretty much would. Usually, when one person would go back to work, majority of the time, everyone would. But
Yeah.
I guess it kind of would depend on who's going back to work.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, if somebody like, because a lot of the people, when break would happen, they would like go to the gas station or go to their house or something. But if break has been going on for 45 minutes and then somebody leaves for an additional however long, you'll see other people just like get in their car and go home for 30 minutes or something. It wasn't like, dude, I'm telling you, people did not care.
And you would get paid for the breaks?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And did the boss know about this?
I mean, he was
Yeah.
there. He knew pretty well.
Yeah.
It didn't last a whole lot longer of those hour and a half breaks until he said, "All right, either you guys take 30-minute breaks or I'm not paying you for break anymore." So, yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they kind of stopped doing that. But I mean,
Okay, so what were some of the funniest stories that you guys had? What are your favorites?
yeah, what's your best story from the rat farm?
I don't know. I'm like, dude, there's hundreds. Like, I don't know. The first day was wild.
Well, okay, walk us through the first day. What was that like?
Well, the first day was a Wednesday. So
Yeah.
probably the worst possible day to start.
Yeah.
Because that was rat day. That was when we had to go through the rat racks or bins, whatever. And they were always by far 5 times worse.
Yeah.
Than...
Just stinkier, more
Oh,
gross,
yeah.
way heavier.
They're bigger.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah.
They're huge. So at any time, if somebody didn't put a tote bin back correctly, the little water thing would just drip constantly. It would never stop. It would just drip. So it would fill the entire bin with water. So if you can imagine what that would be after a couple days, they're gross.
Yeah, it would fill that bin with water, and then it would trickle down to the bins below it, and those would all flood too.
So if it was the top one, all top to bottom, like 6, 7 bins just full of water.
And all of the bedding.
And so were the rats swimming?
No, the rats. Most of the time they would die.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if it happened overnight and they flooded, they would just die.
Yeah. Because there's like a cage above them. They're locked in.
The cage would release the water, so I don't.
It wouldn't release the water. Like, the only reason it would trickle down is because it's overflowing from the bin up there. So, like, the cage is full of water.
But aren't the rats in the bin?
Yeah.
So they're swimming.
Well, as long as they're alive, they have. I mean, the cage. The
Okay,
cage.
So when it would overflow like that, it was just essentially they were all drowning. All those.
Pretty much.
Drowning?
Yeah.
Because there was a lid to it.
I didn't realize that's what you were getting at.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were just saying that they hadn't been like cleaned out, so it was just like all the feces and the food
Well,
and
that too.
everything like that.
But yeah, we only did
Oh wow.
that only happened. We only did that like once a week, right? So
Yeah.
if that happened on like a Wednesday or most of the time people aren't finding it until a day or two later. And when they do find it, all they do is fix the bin to stop the water. And then
Yeah, they
it's
don't clean
another
them out.
week. It's the rest of the week to them
Yeah.
just sitting there. And then you have to come back. And Wednesday comes back again. You got to clean them out.
And they're
But I
sitting there
started on that
fermenting.
day. Oh, I started on that day. It wasn't even. Oh, it was so gross because I had no idea what I was going to be doing. And of course, I got the worst job
Yeah.
easily. I
Yeah.
have to wash them. So I have to scrape shit and
Yeah.
dirt out of a bin, smash it into a dumpster, and then dunk it into a sink and try to wash it out.
Yeah. Times
And then,
1,000.
yeah, then, put bedding in it, put them back in there, put food on top of the cage, and put it back up on the rack.
Mm-hmm.
Do that for
All
5,
day?
6 hours. Yeah. But yeah, I ended up getting. Oh yeah, because at the end of the day, you would drain the sink, and I remember when I was draining the sink, something got stuck, and I ended up getting poop water in my mouth. That was so bad. That was nasty. Just ooh. Oh, it was so bad. Oh, I remember we were standing there in the middle of that hallway in the barn. I just looked to the left and Dave's standing above the auger, just taking a piss in the auger.
Dude, that place.
It's like the very first day. First thing I hear come out of two of the employees' mouths is favorite drug. The first thing I hear come out of their mouth.
Yeah. Those are the type of people.
It was a different first day on the job for sure.
Yeah.
And what job did you get in an argument to quit to come to this place?
Is it an RV factory?
So it was a little bit better than this rat farm?
Pay wise, yeah.
Do you think you had more fun at the rat farm or the RV?
Oh, rat farm, 1,000%. At the RV, everyone's just angry. Yeah. Everyone's mad there.
I specifically remember you on your first day because he was working at the back of the rat barn, and I was working up here doing a separate job, still working on rats, but he was all the way at the other end of the building basically. And I just remember looking at him on his first day, and his shirt was just soaked with water from the sink that he was washing in, and it was just like, oh, that sucks. Because the idea is you don't want to get it all over yourself, but he just couldn't help it.
Yeah,
He had it all over.
I didn't know how to. I didn't have the techniques down.
Yeah, you get it down pretty quick though.
It's not too hard.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Do you have any rat farm questions?
No, I mean, I think you guys have pretty much explained it all. I was just interested in hearing some of these stories.
Okay.
I mean, so it sounds like you guys had fun. It didn't really sound like it was all that bad.
Oh yeah. Sometimes
I'm surprised it was such high turnover if everybody seemed to be having fun.
Well, I don't think everybody was having fun. I think it was just funny to see these types of people just working, because it was like, I don't know, such ridiculous stuff would happen that they don't think is funny, but we both thought it was super funny, so we were having a good time.
This is everyday life.
Oh yeah. So it's just like taking a look at the crazy side or something. And you really had no idea what to expect.
And when he said you were peeing in the auger, what's this story? What's the auger? What are you talking about?
Do you want to explain it or do you want me to?
You can.
Okay. So there's an auger. Do you know what an auger is?
You're talking about the thing that like goes in the ground and makes holes, right?
Yeah, it's basically that, except you turn it sideways and it augers all of the all of the rat feces and bedding and ground up bedding and all the food, and it takes that and pushes it up through this tube and puts it outside. And then people come and actually pay him to come pick it up and use it as manure and fertilizer and stuff. So it's like the business structure is solid. He's profiting.
The only thing you have to buy is food.
Yeah.
The one and only thing.
Food and bedding.
And labor.
Yeah, but so
Who's buying that from him?
I don't, yeah, some farm or something.
For like produce?
I have no idea. I know that somebody would pay him to come and pick it up though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who exactly. I never got the details of it, but yeah. So basically there's that area, and instead of going and using a bathroom with like a toilet that's enclosed, people will just whip it out and start peeing in the auger, turn on the auger and push it outside, or I mean, they'll just whip it out anywhere basically. And if there's an empty barrel and somebody's peeing at the auger, you can just start peeing in the barrel right in front of everybody. It's like these people didn't care. And that's what he said on his first day. I remember it was his first day, and we were up there talking. It was towards the end of the day or something, and we were up there talking about how the day went. He just looks back and he goes, "Is that guy peeing in the auger?" And I said, "Yep, that's what he's doing." Because he just had his legs spread looking down. It's like, yep, people do that.
Well, like, do you know what the history of that is? Like, somebody had to be the first one to pee in the auger.
I'm sure.
Did you ever find out the history of who first did it or how that became a thing?
I can't imagine it took very long. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure it was the first day of that place. Somebody probably did. Yeah, there was
outside,
what?
whatever.
I'm sure it was like the first day of that place existing. Somebody probably did it.
It definitely didn't help that there was not a bathroom in that barn.
Yeah, you had to walk over to the other barn and do it. But even in that barn, people did it there too, so it doesn't matter. In the barn where the bathroom was, people still did it.
So he would essentially have people pay him to clean up the waste.
Yeah.
Huh.
Quite the business model, I'd say.
So what are some other stories?
Okay, so there was one time where I think so the auger that I was just talking about, you would put everything and all the dead rats from all the floods and whatnot, you would put those in there too, because you can't sell them anymore because they flooded and died in that way or whatever. So you put them in the auger, and the auger spins and takes them out. But when somebody puts too many of them in at the same time, that auger it'll like jam and it'll pop the breaker, and you have to have somebody up at the breaker flipping it every time it pops, and then it just keeps. So, I mean, and then some people will not realize that it's not working and then just keep putting stuff on top of it, and there was one time where it took like all day for it to get unclogged. And there was this one time, I can't remember if it was a storm or just because of that I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember the lights went out and Quinn said something. Do you remember what Quinn said?
But now that you mention, I do remember he did say something.
I think he just, the lights went out and Peyton and I were working together. And then Quinn was working at a table like right behind us or something. And then he started saying something in like a little kid voice. And it's just like, that was just I don't know. It was a funny story, but if I remember what he said, but
I can't remember. I do recall him saying something though.
Yeah. And then whenever Steve, that's the boss, whenever he would go on vacation, it was basically like everybody was on vacation if Steve was on vacation.
Oh yeah. No,
it was
Quinn already came to work an hour to 2 hours late every day. So he's not coming until 2 in the afternoon. He'll just work at night. It don't matter.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, so work
So you
started.
guys didn't have to clock in?
I mean, we did, but the way we would clock in was at the end of the day,
Notepad.
we would write down on a piece of paper what time we got there. And you can see how that could be easily manipulated.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was saying. You didn't have a time clock that actually punched in. And
Oh, yeah,
No. No. You would think that would be a good investment, though, for for the type of individuals. But yeah, there was many a times where Steve was gone and everybody basically, I mean, it's really like everybody's on vacation because there's Steve and then there's the rest of us. There's like no number 2 or anything like that. So it's
some people like to have thought so.
yeah. But it was very hectic when Steve wasn't there.
So there was nobody to keep you guys in line under Steve. It was just Steve and then entry level employees.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And nobody ever got promoted or anything like that.
I mean, you
So,
would
like,
get
manager.
no. There were no roles. Nobody had
There were no title.
No, nobody had a title.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. I guess I'm not sure. I never asked, and I mean, there was one guy that had been there for like 10 or 11 years or something, and he still didn't have a title. So it's like, man, if he's not getting a title, I don't think anybody's getting a title.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds like he was broke.
I mean, you got
I
a
would
point,
agree with
but,
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess
It sounds like there's no hierarchy, and with there being no hierarchy, there's like no structure. So it's pretty much if Steve's not there, like babysitting, it's pretty much all over.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Because the funny thing is that you've always like made it sound like you were a model employee at the company, Jake, and you were like, we're always someone working while nobody else was.
For the most part, I was. I was.
Do at least bare minimum what his tasks were.
Okay, I never took an hour and a half break. I'm saying these stories because this is what the majority of people would do. The day that I quit, Steve said to me, he said, I'm honestly very surprised you made it through the first year, let alone this long. I thought you were going to leave a long time ago. That's what he told me.
Like, why do you think he said that?
Just because, I mean, he could tell that I would get so frustrated sometimes with like the lack of work that people would do, and then I would have to go back and fix the work that those guys didn't do. But it's like at the same time, I was having a good time a lot of the time. I was still working, but I still was in the vicinity seeing all of this stuff happen that it was just, I don't know.
So, who quit first?
Payton.
Me.
Okay, so Jake. So how long did you last? How long did you work there?
Oh, what was it? Only like 4 months, right?
It was something like that. I can't remember exactly,
four
but
or 5 months. I didn't. Yeah, Jake was there way longer than me.
What happened?
It was just me planning on moving, and it was just like a weird situation with the whole moving thing. I had to quit like abruptly one day.
yeah.
And what do you think it was for you, Jake, that finally just made you like realize you wanted to quit?
Well, I knew that I didn't want to work at a rat farm for the rest of my life for a long time, but I just kind of got stuck in that cycle of going to work, going home, going to work, going home. And I mean, basically when I quit, I told him, I was like, I think we both know that I'm not going to be working at a rat farm the rest of my life. And I want to work somewhere where I could see myself actually grow and gain some skills, because basically here at the rat farm, I know all there is to do. There's no more skills for me to gain. So I mean, basically, I just left after that. I mean, I put my 2 weeks in and left.
But did you just get to a point where you absolutely hated it and dreaded it? Was there a better opportunity that you got, or what was like the last straw? What just made you realize, all right, this it's time?
Yeah, it got to the point where it stopped being fun, and all of the people there were no longer, I don't know, there weren't, it was a lot of people not doing any work and me just getting super upset at having to go back through and do their work. So I started looking for jobs, and then I found the place where I'm at right now, and I got an interview there, and basically I just told them I was quitting.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, any more rat farm stories?
Off the top of my head, I can't really think of any rat farm stories, but
Yeah, I'll think of 1,000 later tonight.
yeah, or the delivery driver sometimes. So when we pack these mice and rats up for the delivery driver in the morning, they are these white boxes with like aeration holes so all the mice and whatever can breathe. And you'd put some bedding in there, put some mice and rats in there, and then we would load them into the truck, and this guy would drive off and go make these deliveries. But after however many uses these boxes went through, they would get worn down and get holes in them and break and whatnot. And there was so many times. I remember there was one time in specific where there was a hole in like a lot of these boxes to where there were just mice and rats running all over in the back of the truck, and he just had to get them to make deliveries and like duct tape the boxes shut and whatnot. And it's like, man, could you imagine showing up to, because he would make these deliveries in like public parking lots. Like he wouldn't deliver to somebody's house or something. He's just in a parking lot somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh my gosh. I thought he was going to like businesses, like companies,
No.
dude. Not just meeting him at a 7-Eleven.
Yeah. And I just picture it, like driving to my local Walmart and seeing somebody in this rat truck just chasing a bunch of mice in the back of the truck.
Wait, what do you mean? Like they would get out of the truck?
No, they couldn't get out of the truck, but they got out of their boxes. And they were running around freely in the truck.
Back in the truck.
Yeah, it was a box
like,
truck.
What, is it a UPS truck? What?
Yeah, like a box truck. Yeah.
And he would have to be back there, like putting them back in the box.
Oh yeah, but then because the box
How would he know which one they came out of?
probably didn't. Well,
So some of them would get shorted pets.
oh, I'm sure. Well, and then when you count for frozen rats, so if people buy frozen, you would buy by the bag, but each bag has a certain number that is supposed to be in that bag. So say you buy pinkies, which are basically like they just got born. And if you buy them frozen, you're supposed to get 500 in a bag. Basically, okay, so picture the people that are working there and all of the things that I told you. You have those people counting 500, and sometimes they would just say, grab a few, put them in, grab a few, put them in, not counting whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure there are some bags that had like 300. I'm sure there are bags that had 800. I mean, there was no structure to that whatsoever.
Why didn't they just figure out like how many 500 normally weighed and then put them on a scale and just throw as many as what the normal amount for 500 was?
Yeah, you would think that would make sense, but that never happened.
And like, you don't think like any of these businesses ever complained or anything?
No, because if they would have, we would have heard about it. Yeah. So I mean, it evens out after a while. If you get a bag of 300 and a bag of 800, hey, you profit at 100 mice. You're not going to complain about that.
Yeah, but business is all about like some type of organization to where things actually count. It's like if you went to McDonald's and one day you got a Big Mac with no meat, and then 2 weeks later you got a Big Mac with 4 pieces of meat, like you're still gonna complain the first time. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. That never happened though.
wow.
Yeah. Wow, indeed.
Okay, so how did you guys progress your relationship on and move forward in your relationship from the rat farm to where it is now?
I mean, we just talk every once in a while. We don't really. I don't know. We're friends. Just do. I don't know.
Well, you guys played games, right?
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But
Well, did you know each other in high school?
we knew each other.
Yeah. Was it, I don't know if it was freshman or sophomore year, but it was Spanish class, right?
Yeah, that was freshman year. Wait, yeah, freshman year. Yeah, he was in my Spanish class and he sat right next to me.
And then physics was
Physics
that
class too.
is
Yeah,
is that freshman year?
yeah. Basically, I don't know. The physics exam at the very end was very straightforward. He literally. Do you know what a Quizlet is?
A Quizlet?
Yeah. It's like this
No.
this website that gives you like flashcards with definitions and a bunch of stuff like that. So it's a website teachers would use to uh like learn vocab words, like vocabulary words and I don't know, just other stuff like that. But this teacher on the physics exam, he basically put the questions to the final exam on the Quizlet. So, I mean, if you just memorized what was on there, you were pretty much good to go. And Peyton did not know like any of the answers on the final exam before the final week. So I was sitting there on the last week helping him with all of the all of
For
the
a week
physics
straight at
questions.
lunch.
And yeah, he ended up passing, but
Yeah, passed physics because of Jake.
yeah.
You guys were freshmen?
Yeah. Yeah, we were the same grade.
I didn't know physics was a freshman class.
Yeah, it was like freshman physics. I don't know what they called it, but physics A or something. It was very base level knowledge. But yeah. And then we didn't really know each other from baseball, but I mean, in Little League for all of Sturgis, they had all of their major league teams, and everybody was split up into teams and whatnot, and we had played against each other a couple times, but I don't know, we never really knew each other until high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then he was every day after school he would take me home and go to like football games. He would like come and pick me up because he drove and I didn't. So he
Yeah,
would just
I was Jake's taxi.
yeah
for,
yeah he was my
3 or 4
chauffeur
years.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I would work at Dairy Queen on Fridays and I would get off at like 7:30 and the game started at 7, right?
Something like that.
So we would always get there like
Yeah, we would always
maybe
show
like
up late.
halfway. Yeah, we'd always get there like halfway through the game, maybe only like a quarter into it.
Mhm. Yeah, the football games.
Yeah, because I'd always have to go pick them up after work.
Yeah.
because were you guys the same age or was he older?
I mean,
I'm
we were
6 months older than him.
yeah, we were in the same class, but he's older.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Spanish class was kind of the same situation as physics. I basically had to spoon feed teach him Spanish class. Yeah. Peyton wasn't necessarily the best student, I would
No,
say.
no, no.
But that's okay.
Yeah, not remotely.
I mean, do you guys ever get in trouble in school?
I didn't.
No, I don't. Maybe like I don't know. They might have might have had to sit in the hallway a couple times in like middle school or something. But other than that, nah.
Did you ever get in trouble in school?
In high school?
Yeah, or anything.
No. No, I
You
never got trouble.
never got detention or anything.
No.
Oh, I did get detention one time. One time.
For
I
what?
forgot about this. Me, Connor, Johan, and Christian. I think we all got it because in photography class we were doing the it was like a test, and you would draw with light for a picture. So I mean, you could only imagine what high schoolers are drawing.
Yeah.
And there's one day he took us, remember that like auditorium room they had in the high school?
Okay. Like
He
where
took
they
us
would
in
put
there.
plays and stuff on?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
like in the science hall.
Okay.
He took us in there because it was like big and it was really dark, and that's where we did it. And we walked past him. He showed us how to do it. We did it for like 35 minutes. We walked past him to go sit down in one of the seats, and he's like, "How'd it go, guys?" I can't remember who, but so it was like it went really good. Like they put a big like emphasis on it. And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, can I see him?" And we didn't really want to show him because being high school boys drawing with light and photos, we're not drawing just anything. We're drawing like wieners.
So that's what you got detention for?
Yeah. Yeah, all four of us.
Yeah. You never did that, Chad?
And so you guys got detention.
You guys all got detention?
All four of us, yeah. Yeah.
Classic. You never did that, Chad?
What?
You never did that?
No. I never had that class.
Oh. You never drew wieners on anything else?
In high school?
Yeah.
No.
No. Just checking.
I drew a wiener on one of my roommates' walls in college.
Oh, nice.
I took a Sharpie marker and drew it over his wall, and then he went and took rubbing alcohol and tried to get it off, and all that did was smooth the paint so you could still see it. It was like a light tan paint, and by putting the rubbing alcohol, it made it pretty much white where the black marker was, so you could still see it.
Why didn't he just try to paint over it?
I mean, I don't think he wanted to go by paint.
Yeah, that's fair. Did you have any more questions for us about the rat farm?
Well, I don't know what else you guys want to get into.
So you wanted to talk about what was that, Operation Northwood or something? Because you're a big conspiracy theory guy.
Yeah, not huge, but I get you. I gander.
Okay, so what's Operation Northwood about? Because I'm not familiar with it, and Chad's not really a big conspiracy nut.
It's like I'm not entirely like sure on if it was like a conspiracy theory ever, but I know. Well, I think it was at one point, and then like files came out like proving it because like some law passed. But pretty much I have it right here, but Operation Northwood was pretty much like a proposed false flag
Meaning
operation. They would pretty much just make up scenarios
Who, the government?
And yeah,
Okay.
and like so like the whole thing was, this was like with Cuba and like Fidel Castro. This was like during those times.
Okay.
They wanted to do stuff where they would have like maybe like a commercial airline blow up, but it's something that they would do on purpose, and they would try to stage it as in like Cuba did it.
Oh.
So they could tell the public like Cuba did this, like now we can go to war with them, or however you want to, however they would do it, and then try to get the public's like side to be okay with it. Because I think at the time, I don't think the citizen, like the majority, were okay with it.
Hmm. And so, like, they actually did blow up an airliner or something, or that was just like
No,
files
I
about it?
think, yeah, that was like one of the scenarios. There was
Oh.
one where they would have like a bunch of like special forces guys or some group of people dress up as like Cuban operatives or whatever and just like raid a military base.
Hmm.
Like there was like a couple like different stuff, things like that. But um I think JFK was president at the time, and I'm pretty sure he declined it.
Oh, so none of the stuff like actually went through. It was just basically proposals.
Yeah, yeah, the proposals were rejected by President John F. Kennedy. Yeah. Yeah, like sinking boats of Cuban refugees on the high seas. That was one of them.
Hmm.
Blowing up a US ship. Yeah, right here, like, and orchestrating terrorism in US cities.
Hmm. Do you
It's like
think that?
proposals to try to get
Yeah.
the American people to be okay with.
Now I'm a I'll believe a conspiracy theory when I hear it, but Chad not so much. Do you think? But I know you're on my side here. Do you think some of this stuff is going on today? Like not to that extreme, but do you think the government is doing things like that to manipulate the population? Either one of you?
Oh, I thought you were. I thought you were asking him. My
Oh,
bad. I'm sure. I'm sure to a certain degree, for sure. Yeah, like you said, maybe not on this like scale or like, but I'm sure in some way, shape, or form. I wouldn't be able to tell you an exact like scenario, but
Chad, what would you say to that?
Do I think that the government is creating things to create like an uprise in like the emotions of
Mm-hmm.
the country and vice versa?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody does that, right? So if you leave a job uh, or they fire you from a job, it's not like you're going to go praising that job and telling people about how good it was and how great the boss is and stuff like that. You're going to throw as much dirt and shade on it so it makes you look as good as you possibly can look, to be able to, one, have pride for yourself, have good self-esteem, but also to not make yourself look bad in front of others. So
Hmm.
if you have a belief system or some type of agenda that you're trying to create, you're not usually going to promote the opposition to that. In fact, most times you're going to try to prove them wrong or make them look bad. And I think that's one of the things that I really, really enjoy about when people sit down and have debates. Because oftentimes in debates, you have someone who is a mediator asking questions to each party. And a really good debate isn't one where each party is trying to tell the other how bad they are or how make them look like an idiot, but they're trying to prove their own point to the best of their ability while showing where the other party's points have faults.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And I would say that I disagree with conspiracy theories. There's just very few conspiracy theories that I think have been formulated into a place where they can answer a lot of the questions as to like, well, why did this happen, like what's the purpose of a conspiracy theory? Like what's the purpose of this specific conspiracy theory? Like let's throw out something like aliens, right? So if there are aliens or if there aren't aliens, does it help us to really progress as a society? And does it help me? Am I going to live tomorrow different than I live today?
I guess that would depend from person to
I think,
person.
yeah, I think that one would for sure go person to person.
I think some
Okay.
people
So,
would probably change their lives based on if there was concrete evidence one way or the other. I'm sure there's a handful of people that would change their lives based upon it. But I would say for the vast majority of people, I mean, it's probably not going to change anything in their life. But
okay. So maybe that was a bad example. So maybe I'll use an example of the flat earth theory. So if the earth is flat and it's not actually round, how does that apply to my life tomorrow versus it does today? Like what changes? What am I going to do differently?
that's fair.
Yeah.
Do you think
Like, and if
Do
Go
you
ahead.
think if the Earth was flat and it was proven to be flat, that you would go to the edge to see it?
I don't really have that big of desire to go places and like vacation as it is. So it's like to me, no, not really. I don't really care. It's not something like for me. My whole life is built upon drawing closer, deeper relationships with human beings. I think we've talked about, I believe that there's a creator, and so each one of us is a speckle or an image of him. So trying to create more intimate relationships with other, whether you call particles of the creator or whatever it is, if we're all particles then we're all together, we're all made out of the same things. I have a much deeper desire to be able to interact with those things than just going and seeing things like edge of an earth or something like that. Like even vacationing, it's just, I don't know, I don't really want to go sightseeing. I would rather laugh and enjoy, and you can really do that just about anywhere. Like, I mean, you guys made a great example tonight, like at a rat farm. Like
Yeah.
it could be one of the worst jobs ever, but it can be an enjoyable experience. And I think a lot of this shows that, the people that you're around, and these don't seem to be like the super greatest guys, but
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
life wasn't all that bad. Like, I don't know if I would want to be like on Wall Street and sitting there yelling and being all stressed out about money and like having to make such and such money so the CEO can make, you know, $120 million a year or something like that, and he's getting pressure on you. It's just like, man, like that sounds miserable.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think I would go see The Edge. I think it'd be cool, personally.
Okay. Question further upon that, Peyton. Do you think that if the Earth was flat, do you think if you stepped over the edge that you would fall off? Or do you think you would just end up on the other side?
I have no idea how the physics would work there in the slightest.
The other side of what?
The other side of the Earth, I guess.
Okay,
Well,
so
'cause
you're
I
talking
mean,
about if it was a
Well,
disc,
if
yeah.
not flat.
so I guess if in your head, how is like a flat Earth in your head? Are you just squishing the Earth and like
Well, is that
south? It's like this is like Antarctica's on the bottom still, like on the other
Yeah.
side of the pancake. That's how you're imagining it.
No, I was thinking it so like basically you take the Earth and then it's like a map. But once
Yeah,
you
it's
get
just okay.
right. And then once you get to the edge of the map, you can't really walk off cuz I mean gravity is still a thing, or
Yeah, of
if
course.
flat Earth is real, gravity no longer becomes a thing. Because my thinking would be if you step off the edge, you fall into empty space, option A, or B, the gravity pulls you from falling down and you fall back up onto the other side of this flat shape. Wouldn't you think?
Well, in most instances, you wouldn't be stepping off; you would be swimming off, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess you would never
Or
really
maybe they're
know.
not. Oh,
Huh. Yeah, that's true.
and so if you have that, like, where does the water fall? Because water would be just falling endlessly.
That's true.
So what is it to keep that up?
But would the water really be falling? Well, I mean, there's always a floor to the ocean.
Right.
Hmm.
But what
Guess
about the edge?
that's a
It's
good
like
point.
the
I don't believe in
so
flat Earth. I was just picking the brains of what you think it would be like if it happened.
do you believe in flat Earth, Peyton?
No.
Okay.
What did you say? Do you believe in aliens? Payne?
I don't know about like movie aliens, you know what I mean? But maybe like some sort of life.
Okay.
If like everything like is actually like is how they say it is with how big that our actual like universe is, it'd be hard to believe that there's not one other thing out there. It's something that's living, whether it's a organism or a plant or something. I don't know about aliens, but life. I think there's more life. Personally.
I would say that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, and see, would say one of my biggest things with conspiracy theories is that it takes the idea that people are actually supposed to be paying attention in certain circumstances to prevent the things that actually happen from happening. And I think in everyday life, if you go into any work situation, there's people there not paying attention, not giving a crap, like whether it's a rat farm or whether it's air traffic controllers watching over helicopters and airplanes, or they're overwhelmed with the amount of work that they have, or they've had a bad day, or they haven't had enough caffeine, or their pre-workout was crappy, or they didn't eat well, or they're in a fight with their wife. And there's so many emotions and moods that go into all these things that create an opportunity, like the maybe the individual that got up on top of that building during one of Trump's speeches or whatever. Like, they were blaming it on people, and I get it. There's people that should take the blame, but there have to be an awful lot of evidence for it to be a conspiracy theory where they were actually allowing this thing to happen, because there's just so many opportunities where people have to be on their game. Like, there has to be a structure, there has to be this, and there's mistakes that happen every single day. Like, we're all human beings, we're all imperfect, focused on other things that we probably shouldn't be, and things get in our head, and things like this happen. So I'd say that's one of my biggest issues with conspiracy theories. It's like taking for granted that people don't make mistakes, and that we're not perfect, and that no matter what systems you put in place, sometimes there's loopholes and there's way to get around them just because of the faults.
That's like a saying that I've heard. It's you can't attribute to malice to which can be explained by incompetence. So basically, it's like you can't assume somebody is doing something on purpose to affect you negatively when it literally, they could be often zoning off in their head, imagining something completely random, and they're not even thinking about that situation. It's like people are living their own lives in their own heads all the time. So it's like, I mean, you could be at work thinking about aliens, you could be thinking about Operation Northwood, you could be thinking about whatever, and you might mess up, and it's like your coworker gets mad at you for it, and it's like, oh, you messed this up, and I don't know, you could just be not paying attention at all, and it's like, I mean, sure, you still messed up, but
Or you could be pissing in an auger, and one of
yeah,
the rats gets loose and runs out the door.
yeah,
And there's a semi that's carrying gasoline that
yeah,
hits the rat just in the wrong way, and the
yeah,
semi flips over and causes this like
yep,
great big explosion.
yeah,
And it was like, oh, now it's a government agency that was trying to destroy a small town in Sturgis, Michigan, with
yeah,
nuclear waste or something like that.
yeah, yeah. That could happen. I
I
could see
mean,
it.
do you guys have conspiracy theories that you hold deeply that you do believe that there is some truth to that?
Uh,
I wouldn't say that I hold any conspiracies like super deeply to my heart. Like if they got disproven, I would be so upset about it. But there are definitely conspiracy theories I believe.
Like,
Uh, the JFK assassination.
what about it?
I I believe like the CIA and the government to some extent had a hand in that.
Okay, and do you believe? Now, when you say believe, do you believe that they actually did, or do you just think that there's enough things that have been brought forth that have created some concerns to where there could be truth in it?
I think they actually did.
You do, okay.
Yeah, I would say
And for
so.
any specific reasons?
I can't say any off the top of my head, but it's just you hear all of these things that happen and all of these reasons that they would be. I mean, all of these reasons politically that they would basically want him out of office, and just looking at the past that the government has had in just shady business, I guess it's not something that I would put past them, and I guess that raises concern, and via that I think I believe. Yeah.
What about you, Peyton?
yeah, I wouldn't say like I don't hold anything close to my heart. Like I wouldn't be too upset if anything got disproven or whatever. But um, yeah, I like conspiracy theories that were like turned to be true, or just like interesting ones. Like Operation Paperclip's another one that's really cool.
Which is
That
what?
that was at the end of the war. We
World War II.
hired not yeah kind of like hired and recruited like 1,600 scientists to come to the US and work here for us, and a lot of them were proven to be members of like the Nazi party at the time, and majority were like in the SS and stuff like that, but they were more advanced than us at the time, and the US government looked at it as an advantage to hire people that know more than we do and to catch up. So they hired about 1,600 and relocated them all to the US, and they played a very, very large role in NASA becoming a thing in our space program and getting to the moon. But that's a big role in it. But they also did create medicines and um, patents for other things that were also like good use and stuff. But
So that's interesting. You,
it's just the where they came from is kind of a questionable thing
Hmm.
for the conspiracy side, I guess you could say, whatever the talking point.
and then that conspiracy theory actually gives essentially a solution to something else that's considered a conspiracy theory, which is that we did in fact land on the moon. And so, as a conspiracy theorist, you do believe we landed on the moon?
Yes, I personally do, because as a even though I am a conspiracy theorist, I do love the thought of I love astronomy. Anything astronomy, I'm obsessed with, and
And do you love the
um,
thought of us landing on the moon and that hope that is instilled that we reached and accomplished something so magnificent?
yeah,
Or
I
do you
I
truly
would
believe that there's the facts and the evidence that we did?
I I love the thought that it's it's almost hard to believe looking at the moon when you go outside that civilization actually was able to make it there. Because I mean, that you go from making fire with two rocks to launching a rocket however many miles away.
250,000.
Yeah. So it's more of a hope for it's a achievement, like you said. And the thought of having a multi-planetary system is very intriguing to me as well.
See, because
So
personally, for me, if there was one conspiracy theory that I had my concerns about, it would probably be that right there, is that we'd never land.
yeah,
Because it's just like we have
it.
how many flights that are made each and every day to go from across the country to across the country, but yet we still have yet to have landed on the moon again since what, 1983 or something, right?
Something
I
like
can't
that.
remember
It's
the
it's been
year.
it's been a long time.
I thought it was in the 50s, but I guess, man, I don't know.
I want to say
My
60s or
timelines,
something, but
my
yeah,
timelines
Oh, was
out of
it?
whack.
Okay.
I could be off. I'm not
So in the last 65 years, like it's just not something we no longer want to do, or what? Like, how is that possible? I
Yeah.
don't understand that.
My thing is, it's not even that we don't want to do it anymore. It's that we can't do it anymore. It's like, okay, so we accomplished this feat however many years ago, and you see how far we've advanced technologically, but it's like we can't recreate that even though our technology has increased by this amount. And I understand Peyton's perspective in the idea of space exploration, and I think that would be super cool. But for me, I think I looked too, I don't know, I put my conspiracy theory goggles on it, and I think I looked too hard at all of the stories discounting it, maybe. And I see a bunch of things in it that, I mean, again, it's the government. Personally, I see all of these things, and I don't have a whole lot of faith in the government telling us truth 100% of the time. So that plays into a factor. And yeah, just the fact that we haven't been back since, even though our technology has increased so much, I guess.
Yeah, and that's why I try to ask that question, because it's like, is it the hope or is the actual factual evidence that makes you believe that? Because it's like, yeah, I hope Tiger Woods wins another tournament. Maybe he beats Jack Nicklaus's record. But is that a hope, or do I factually think that it's going to happen? Well, no, it's probably not. But it's that feel good moment of this is something that is part of my life and I really enjoy studying and I've grew up with, and I don't want to lose that. It's like Santa Claus, right? Like, does anybody really want to lose hope in Santa Claus? Do we ever really want to like realize that he's not an actual person that's going to deliver presents to my Christmas tree at 40 years old? Like that they're just going to stop showing up because it was my mom and dad? Like, no, I don't. Nobody ever really wants that, but factual evidence supports that there is no Santa Claus, at least not at my house.
Right. And not that it like disproves what Jake said or anything, but like I did think that as well. Like it is very weird that we somehow don't know how now that even though technology has increased tenfold and it's been so many years and whatnot, but I thought the same way because like that's weird. But then I can't remember who it was, but somebody explained it in on how much it like costs to do that. And the only reason there ever was like a space race is because we just wanted to be first. That's all US cared about, was just being first. And then we got first, allegedly.
Yeah.
um yeah. We got our samples and whatnot. We did it a couple times, and then I guess like from there, it's like what now? I guess if there was never really a plan to do anything on the moon or whatever, like there's not a ton of point to spend that much money to just go there.
That's fair.
Even
Well, how
though
much did
it's
it
like
cost? You know?
not off the top of my head, but it is an extreme like it per pound. Like they're very careful on what they even bring on the plane or on the ship, just because of they have to do like such a like they have to do so much math for fuel and whatnot for how much the ship weighs and how much weight they have to account for and whatnot, how much fuel they need to burn for certain things and like things like that. So it does cost a lot to even bring like a bag of chips or something that might itself be hundreds of dollars.
I think I saw something on the whole. They went to the moon and collected these space rocks or something. They collected samples of something, and then they gave it to somebody, and then that
Yeah,
somebody
it was
sampled it, and it was actually from Earth.
it was like petrified wood,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that was something that made me go, like
Yeah, I know what you're
why would
talking
they do
about.
that if they really went to the moon, you know?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
But yeah. I mean,
But
sometimes
that
you have
was
to
this was also before we could reuse a rocket. So
That's true.
we were also rebuilding them every single time. We couldn't Elon Musk wasn't reusing rockets at the time.
True.
So that is another extreme cost that's added to those times compared to now.
Yeah, plus you have to take into account all of the ships that just went into test and all of the explosions and all of the failures and everything like that. So I don't know. Seems a little sus to me though. When I was telling you I didn't believe the moon landing was real, Chad. You didn't agree with me, so I guess I never really realized you didn't really believe in it either.
I don't think we went really deep in that question to where it was just like,
Yeah, that's true.
but I mean, again, to me, it's just like, okay, if it wasn't true, my day tomorrow doesn't really change, right?
Right.
It doesn't. So it's just, it's like, how much time and effort am I going to spend on thinking this through and thinking it over and allowing it to take up time and energy in my life when I can try to be spending it on other things? And so that's where I try to put most of my focus is on that. Whereas, like, I do think that, you know, where we're headed as a country is super important. So I do try to spend some time like figuring out what I can do as an individual, as a man, to be more well equipped and prepared as society tries to change, and standing up for myself and my belief system so that we don't become just this place where there's absolute chaos. You know, and so you have to have give and take, and the moon landing just really doesn't really take much importance over all that.
Right. And I mean, you can't have a bunch of people in society believing every single conspiracy theory and still maintaining productivity. Like, people still need to go about with their everyday lives. Like, you can't let these conspiracy theories dictate the way you live, because that's just a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many conspiracies you can get caught up into now, and I mean, everything could be a conspiracy theory. Like, literally everything. Like, did you see the one where they were talking about like it was a fake Joe Biden or something? Like,
Yeah, dude.
Joe Biden was taller than usual, so they thought it was a cloned Joe Biden or an actor or something. And it was just like, man, you cannot get caught up in all of these. And I mean, if you do, you could spend all day thinking about them and talking about them and researching
Mm-hmm.
them. It's so in depth, and it could literally just be some random person on the internet with no credibility making all of these claims, and that's how they start sometimes. You have to determine, is that what you're going to put your beliefs into? It's just some random person on Reddit.
I forgot. I wanted to ask the question back to you at the time, but I forgot, and then we kept going. But do you think there's what do you believe in aliens?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I flip flop back and forth. Sometimes I don't know. Depends on the day.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning. Today's an alien day.
Yeah.
Today's an
Sometimes I
alien
do.
day.
Sometimes I don't. Have you ever had any experiences with like ghosts or anything paranormal or anything like that?
I don't know. At my mom's house, I swear, bro, it's something touched the toilet, like would make it like the seat.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there was times in the morning or any time you'd go in and it's like closed. I would like leave, go grab a towel, come back, and it's open. I don't know if that's necessarily like paranormal, but that happened on like several occasions. And
Huh.
I'm like the only one living at the house, or only one at the house.
Huh.
So like I don't know if maybe like I'm just imagining things those like a couple occasions, but that's the thing. It happened in what I thought a couple times.
Are you maybe just misremembering, or this was
See,
something where
that's
like
what I want to think. Because I don't know if I necessarily believe in like ghosts and whatnot. Like actual could possibly do something like that. I'm not really too sure. I've never really thought too much about it, but
maybe sometimes it's just your mind playing tricks on you too.
see that's what I think. But every now and then, just like a thought pops in, and it's like, was it like that?
That's fair. Because I remember there was one time when I was a little kid, I couldn't have been 11 or 12, and every summer, Sam and his family and we would go to Chicago, and we would stay at his grandma's house in Chicago. And there was one time where I woke up in the middle of the night and I had to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom, did my business, was about to start washing my hands, and it sounded like the light bulb like shattered and the lights turned off, and I freaked out and I ran out of the bathroom, and then I went and woke Sam up, and I was like, dude, I think the lights just shattered in there in the bathroom or something. I don't know what just happened. And then he went and he woke his mom up, and we all went into the bathroom together, and there was like no broken glass. The lights worked just fine, and it was like was that just my brain being tired and playing tricks on me, or what just happened? Yeah, I still don't know. Cuz that freaked me out though.
Yeah, because like after the fact, you like think about it for a minute,
Dude,
and then you're
yeah.
like, that's not real, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then you're
yeah.
like, well, like I don't know, that's what I'm thinking. Like this is how
Yeah.
I remember it.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have vivid dreams?
I remember my dreams sometimes, but then most of the time I don't. But I remember that moment very distinctly. But I'm not sure if Sam remembers that moment, but I remember that moment like it was yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah. Have you ever had anything like that, Chad?
Not that I can think of. No. Not that I'm aware of, at least.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess that's really the only thing that I can think of that I've ever experienced. I've never like seen any UFOs or seen any books floating or flying across the room or anything like that. But yeah. I guess, did you have any further questions or
Yeah,
topics
so
you
I
wanted to
think
discuss?
this week I think it would be interesting. Instead of Peyton didn't really know our dad, right?
He met him a couple times.
Okay. Did he have a story that stuck out to him about our dad?
Did you have a story about our dad that you would want to share?
I'm not sure if it's much of a story, but the very first time I ever met him, I can't remember exactly like by heart how it goes, but we end up walking in and we walk by and you introduce me and we just say names and whatnot and we go and hang out, whatever, and I leave. Anytime, maybe it don't I think I only ever came over maybe 4 or 5 times after that, maybe to hang out for like an hour or two, or maybe just to pick you up and we just run in your room so you can grab something real quick or something.
Right.
But anytime at all I would ever come in, he would uh always be like don't remember how he would always say it, but I remember specifically one time when Sam and Mark came over because we were CS:GO gambling. Do you remember?
Yeah.
They came over to your house one
Yeah.
time so we could show them how to do it.
Yeah.
And we all walked in and he
Yeah.
says, "There's all the losers." And he says, "Oh, hey, Payton." He would always like call everyone else like he would always say something to everyone else, but then
Yeah.
he'd be like, "There's Payton," like, hey, Payton. He'd always call everyone something, but for some reason he'd always be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Payton."
Well,
I
what's
remember
CS
that.
gambling?
CS:GO, it's like a it's a game where they have skins that are worth money and you could basically trade the skins that were worth money and you would gamble them that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what I thought would be interesting is if we all shared a story of one of the funniest things that we've ever experienced in our lives, like real life, that like just made you bust up laughing uncontrollably nonstop. Do you guys have anything like off the top of your head that just you can think about like that?
Not off the very tip top of my head. I mean, maybe if you go first and then I'll try
Okay,
to think of something while you're saying it.
sure. So my story is, and this every time I think of this story, I have a number of them, but it was back when me and Jake were golfing, and so me and Jake we started off golfing at Cedar Lake Golf Course. That was our first one. I was probably well, I don't know. Jake was probably 7 or 8, and so we were always out playing. We would go play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And one day we were just out there and we were on the fourth green at Cedar Lake, and I'll never forget it. And somebody who I knew from high school was looking over at us, and he was driving down the fairway. That like so, the hole we were on goes this way, and this other hole goes right past it this way. So we were on the green here, looking out this way, and the kid just goes, "Hey!" And I was like, "Hey!" And I look over, and he's this. He goes, and he ran smack dab into an oak tree while he was waving at us. And he just went like full backward, and it was like you could see his whole face go backward. It's like I thought he got hurt,
Yeah.
but I look over and he's just like, oh, and so like I get up there and we drive over to like go help him, but he had hit that tree so hard that the tire the wheel was bent to the point where he could just drive in big circles. So he would drive a little bit, I would pick it up and move it. He would drive a little bit, I would pick it up and move it. So he could like drive it straight all the way back to the clubhouse. And I was like, oh my gosh. One of the funniest things I ever saw.
Yeah, I remember that too. That was a wild day. Peyton, do you have any stories?
Dude, the only for some reason the only thing I can think of is Jarrett with the armrest.
Oh,
That
okay.
was a good one,
You wanna
dude.
tell that story?
Well, so Jake and I, we both have a friend named Jarrett, and he, especially when we play games, especially playing games, his anger can be short-tempered sometimes. And what we were playing Pummel Party,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's like a grown-up Mario Party kind of game.
Yeah,
So
pretty
it's like you
much
play
like
mini games and
just
just stuff
ruins
like that.
friendships.
Yeah.
It just ruins friendships. Because at each turn, there's like abilities where you can kind of screw somebody over and make them start over or whatnot. And but there was what we were playing a mini game, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it
Yeah.
was during a mini game. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think he ended up losing the mini
Oh
game
yeah.
somehow, and I think it was for some reason at some point in the game it was a big one for him too. He needed, if you won the mini game, you got like the first roll. So depending on the situation and who's closer to certain squares, sometimes you wanted a first roll for certain situations, and he ended up losing or something. And well, he was still in his at the dorm, right? He was in his college
Mm-hmm.
chair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think he always used to complain about the armrest. Something about the armrest.
Yeah.
And he lost the mini game, and I guess his anger just took the best of him. And he just said, "Get this armrest off." And you could hear the anger in his voice, and you also just hear an armrest. You just hear wood just snapping. And then you hear nothing but wood just scrape across the floor.
Yeah.
And it hit a wall, just a thud.
Yeah, I mean, you could hear it.
Oh,
Like you could
yeah.
hear a tuk 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 tuk.
So it was like one of your guys' chairs right there.
Yeah.
You picked it up. And
Yeah, he went
whipped it.
boom, and it went tuk 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 across the floor. Yeah.
I remember we laughed for a really long time that time.
Yeah. That was pretty funny.
That's the only thing I can. It's just every time I'm trying to think of somewhere we laugh for a long time, that always comes in my mind.
Yeah. Man. I don't know, you're kind of putting us on the spot here with this. I'm not a great off the top of my head thinker of funny stories. Do you have
Out of
any
your whole life, just one funny story that just stands out, like that makes you laugh.
It's not much of a funny story, but our 24-hour stream that you did.
Oh,
I just did it with you, but you streamed.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, dude, that was the night that you we were playing H1Z1 and you like six tapped that kid in the head from like 3 miles away.
Yeah.
You don't remember?
I remember that, but I don't remember anything else about it really.
Oh, yeah.
You guys streamed for 24 hours straight?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, dude.
Yeah.
That was like during Christmas break one year, I think.
I mean, I guess there's nothing. I can't really think of anything other than just probably the funniest things that I think are just like, I mean, I will laugh at pretty much anything. And if I can't stop laughing, then I really can't stop laughing. But I think I told it on the podcast already about just me being in English class and just start laughing. Like literally nothing happened. And I just started like kind of giggling. And then Sam looked over at me and I was like, I just kept laughing. Yeah, there. I just kept laughing. He's like, dude, what are you laughing at? And I was like, dude, I don't know what I'm laughing at. But I couldn't stop laughing. And then I think I had to. Well, no, it was towards the end of the class period, so I didn't get kicked out or anything. But I just kept laughing over, like I just couldn't stop laughing. But I was gonna say, like, I don't know. I think the funniest things to me are hearing all of our siblings tell their stories about just like, I don't know, like I think Isaac and them throwing food in the road and just watching it get run over by cars. Like I think that stuff is hilarious. And just throwing like crap at semis and stuff. Like I don't know, I just think that stuff is funny. But yeah. I guess I don't have any stories where I'm really the one doing the funny thing.
Well, no, it didn't have to be you. I mean, the one that I shared wasn't me doing it, but yeah.
That's true.
You stopped my Black Ops 3 download.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not really funny, but a story.
Yeah. A story.
All right. Maybe you can save it for next week.
There you go.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate everybody watching. Payton, thanks for chiming in, sharing
Yeah.
your
Thanks for having
thoughts,
me. Thanks for
words of
having me.
wisdom on the rat farm.
Yeah. Definitely words of wisdom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's
That's fun.
it's gonna wrap it up for this week. I think it's 2020, episode 20.
Point.
And that's a wrap. So thanks for watching. Peyton, thanks for being here. And we'll see you later.
Thanks for
Yeah, maybe
See you
we'll have you
guys.
back. Maybe. All right. See ya.
peace.